This is the moment the new dawn died. This is the moment the entire project to clean up the National Prosecuting Authority was exposed as a complete and utter sham. Here is what you are going to see in this deep, exhaustive analysis. First, we will show you the exact moment Honorable Nqola exposes a sickening double standard, a rot, right at the heart of the NPA's new corruption-busting unit. We will show you how the head of the investigating directorate, Advocate Andrea Johnson, was allegedly involved in hiring her own husband, and how Advocate Batohi's response is to make excuses, to dismiss it, to call it an error of judgment. Second, you will see Honorable Nqola spring the trap. You will see him contrast this pathetic excuse with how that very same directorate, run by that very same Advocate Johnson, is currently prosecuting the head of crime intelligence, General Kumalo, for the exact same alleged crime, an irregular appointment. And you will see Batohi's pathetic, evasive, and frankly disgraceful answer when Honorable Nqola asks the simple question, why the double standard? Third, we're going to show you not one, but two unbelievable moments where Advocate Batohi, the top prosecutor in the land, is caught in a direct, bald-faced contradiction, a lie to Parliament. First, about her knowledge of the General Kumalo case. Trust me, you need to see this evidence for yourself. So please click the like button and subscribe. Now, Dlamini Mfana Wam, let's set the stage. Honorable Nqola doesn't start with a bombshell. He doesn't come out swinging. He's a lawyer, and he's building a case. He starts small. He starts by lulling her into a false sense of security. He begins with a simple, foundational, almost academic question about ethics. He is laying the groundwork, a gentle lob to see if Advocate Batohi is even paying attention.
So that whenever you want to move on your research, you are ethically cleared. I'm not quite sure when you do a pupillage if there is a particular module specifically training prospective legal practitioners to focus on this expected ethical standard from legal practitioners. Is there one?
He asks a simple question. When you do pupillage, when you are training to become an advocate, is there a specific module on ethics? This is a fundamental question. The entire legal profession rests on a foundation of ethics. The NPA, more than any other body, is supposed to be the guardian of those ethics. So this is a softball. This is an easy question for the National Director of Public Prosecutions. What is her answer?
So, Chair, through you, is Honourable Member Honourable Nqola referring to in the NPA?
No.
Generally?
I'm talking about, I spoke about attorneys in general. So I'm up because I've never been involved in the pupillage curriculum. So I'm talking about, is there a module that specifically trains advocates on ethical standards expected of advocates of the High Court of South Africa?
I have to be honest, Chair, I don't know, but I certainly hope that there is.
I have to be honest here, I don't know. Let's stop. Let's really analyze what just happened. Because this is not an accident. This is the first crack in the dam. the top prosecutor in the Republic of South Africa, the head of an organization of thousands of lawyers, the woman who is supposed to be the embodiment of legal integrity, doesn't know if advocates are even trained in ethics. Aish, guys, really? You don't know? This is the woman who is supposed to be restoring the integrity of the NPA, and she has no idea how ethics are even taught to the very people who work in her system. It's a stunning admission of incompetence. It's like asking the Minister of Transport if you need a license to drive a bus, and having him say, "You know, I'm not quite sure, but I certainly hope so." This answer is a massive red flag. It's Advocate Batohi telling the whole country, and more importantly, telling a trained lawyer like Honorable Nqola, "I am not on top of my brief. I am not in control. I am unprepared." Nqola hears this, and you can almost see the gears turning in his head. He knows she's vulnerable. He knows she's out of her depth. And now he moves from the general academic topic of ethics to a very, very specific case of ethics, a case that is happening right under her own roof. Dlamini, roll the clip. This is where the trap is set.
Okay. Fortunately, we've got about 6-7 advocates in the room. They may later help, because I'm asking this particularly because the head of IDEC, Advocate Andrea Johnson, considered before this committee that she has been part of a recruitment panel that has actually employed her husband. Do you think that is that conduct ethically and legally correct?
Boom, there it is. He connects her pathetic admission of, "I don't know," about ethics to a real-world, high-stakes ethics scandal. He is not talking about some junior prosecutor in a small town. He is talking about the head of ADIC, the investigating directorate, the so-called new scorpions. He is talking about Advocate Andrea Johnson, Shamila Batohi's own hand-picked general, the person she put in charge of slaying the state-captured dragon. And what did she do? She admitted before this committee that she has been part of a recruitment panel that has actually employed her husband. Let's be clear. This is not a rumor. This is not an allegation. This is something Advocate Johnson admitted to. The head of the anti-corruption unit was on a panel that hired her own husband. This is Nepotism 101. It is a conflict of interest so obvious a first-year law student could spot it. And Honorable Nqola, the chairperson of the Justice Committee, asks a simple, direct yes or no question. Is that conduct ethically and legally correct? Now, watch Advocate Batohi's response. Watch the spin. Watch the excuses. Watch the woman who promised us a new dawn of accountability try to minimize and deflect a massive ethics bomb that just went off in her own office.
I have to agree, on the face of it, it is very bad error of judgment. She should not have been on that panel. She agreed before this House as well that that was not something she should have done. And I agree with that. If your husband is on a potential candidate, you should not be on a panel. Although she explained the steps that she took to make sure that she wasn't part of his interview, but still, I think I agree, it was a bad error of judgment. I've only just received the information last week, and I'll look into it and see whether that was appropriate conduct, if there's anything that needs to be done about it. This was 20 years ago or so. She was a young prosecutor at the time, but it's certainly something that will need to be looked at, because on the face of it, it's a really bad error of judgment.
Let's tear this response to pieces. Let's perform a forensic analysis of these excuses, because this is where the whole case unravels. First, she's forced to admit, on the face of it, it is a very bad error of judgment. Okay, so she admits it's wrong. She has to. But then the spin machine, the damage control, kicks in immediately. Excuse number one, I've only just received the information, last week. Really? Can you believe the audacity? The National Director of Public Prosecutions, the boss of Advocate Johnson, is admitting to Parliament, to her oversight body, that she is so completely out of the loop, so unaware of what is happening with her own senior management, that she only found out about a massive ethics scandal involving her top lieutenant. Last week? Is she incompetent or is she lying? There is no third option. This scandal has been bubbling, it's been in the media, and she, the head of the NPA, only found out last week. It is a claim that beggars belief. Excuse number two, this was 20 years ago or so. And what does that mean? Is there a statute of limitations on unethical conduct? Does corruption get a free pass once it turns 20? It's amazing, isn't it? When the NPA wants to prosecute someone from the apartheid era, 20 years is nothing. But when one of their own, their golden girl, Advocate Johnson, gets caught in an ethical firestorm, suddenly 20 years ago is ancient history. She tries to frame it as a youthful mistake, a youthful indiscretion. She was just a young prosecutor at the time. She is trying to paint a picture of a naive young woman who made a simple mistake. This is not just an excuse. It's an insult to our intelligence. She was a prosecutor. She knew the rules. Excuse number three. It's certainly something that will need to be looked at. Will need to be looked at. Not is being investigated. Not I have referred it to the ethics committee. Not she has been suspended pending an inquiry. No, it will need to be looked at. This is the weakest, most pathetic, most non-committal response possible. It's the kind of thing you say when you want a problem to go away. So to summarize, for her own top manager, her hand-picked head of the investigating directorate, the response to a massive admitted ethics scandal is, I just found out it was a long time ago, she was young, and I'll, get around to looking at it. Maybe. Remember that. Burn that response into your mind. Because Honorable Nqola is about to expose the poison in this hypocrisy. He's about to show you what happens when the person accused is not one of Batohi's friends. Dlamini, play the clip. This is the kill shot.
He should not have been on that panel.
Thank you. General Nqola, amongst other charges that he's facing, is a matter relating to an employment of a brigadier or an SAPS official. Amongst the issues that which have made IDEC or motivated IDEC to arrest General Nqola is that particular matter. Do you think that Advocate Andrea Johnson should suffer the same consequences?
Checkmate. The trap has sprung. The room goes cold. Honorable Nqola reveals that the very same investigating directorate, the ADIC, run by advocate Andrea Johnson, is currently prosecuting General Dumisani Khumalo. For what? For a matter relating to an employment of a brigadier. It is the exact same alleged crime. An employment irregularity, so let's get this straight. The head of the investigating directorate, Advocate Johnson, sits on a panel that hires her own husband, and she gets a pass. It's a bad error of judgment from 20 years ago, but General Khumalo, the head of crime intelligence, is involved in an employment of a brigadier, and he gets the full might of the NPA. He gets arrested by Johnson's unit. He faces charges of fraud and corruption. He is dragged through the courts for the very same category of offense. And Nqola, knowing all of this, asks the question that shatters the entire room. Do you think that advocate Andrea Johnson should suffer the same consequences? This is the moment. This is where advocate Batohi's entire reputation, her entire New Dawn project, lives or dies. Does she stand for one law for all? Does she say, yes, honorable member, you are right, this is a glaring contradiction, and I will investigate it immediately? Does she say, yes, if the evidence is the same, the consequences must be the same? Or does she protect her own? Does she show the country that there is one law for her friends and another law for everyone else? Let's watch.
I don't know the details of the case involving the IDAC case, but what I can say is that context is sometimes everything, and one has to look at the evidence, the circumstances, the context of each case before you can decide whether the consequences should be the same or not.
And there it is, the evasion, the weasel words. Context is sometimes everything. What context is that, advocate? The context that Advocate Johnson is your appointee and General Khumalo is not. The context that one is an insider and one is an outsider. The context that General Khumalo is the boss of Advocate Johnson's husband. Yes, you heard me. The man Advocate Johnson's unit is prosecuting, General Khumalo, is the head of crime intelligence, where her husband works. The conflict of interest is so massive it could swallow this entire parliament. And Batohi's answer is context. And look at her first pathetic excuse. I don't know the details of the case involving the IDAC case. Oh, really? You don't know the details? You, the National Director of Public Prosecutions, don't know the details of one of your biggest, most high-profile prosecutions against a top general? You don't know the details of a case being run by your own investigating directorate. A case that is at the center of this entire parliamentary inquiry? This is the excuse she is going with. It's a bold strategy. It's an insulting strategy. And Honorable Nqola, he does not let it go. He decides to test this claim. He decides to see just how deep this I don't know defense really goes.
So is it the evidence of the NDPP that until date, she has never received any form of update in respect of the IDAC case against General Dumisani Khumalo?
Can you please repeat that?
I'm saying, is it the evidence of the NDPP that until this date, she has never received an update or a report in relation to the case of IDAC against the head of crime intelligence, Lieutenant General Khumalo?
Thank you, Honourable Member. No, through you, Chair, that's not the case. I have certainly received high-level reports on this case prior to the arrest.
Caught, red-handed, absolutely unequivocally caught in a lie. Nqola, like a true prosecutor, boxes her in. He asks a simple, brilliant question. Is it the evidence that until this date she has never received an update or a report? He makes it absolute. And what does she do? After asking him to repeat the question, she walks right into the cage. No, through your chair, that's not the case. I have certainly received high-level reports on this case prior to the arrest. Guys, did you catch that? She has no details, but she has received high-level reports. Which one is it, advocate? You can't have both. You cannot, on one hand, claim, I don't know the details, when you're asked to explain your double standards, and then, 30 seconds later, when you are pressed, admit, I have certainly received high-level reports on this case. A high-level report prior to the arrest would have exactly the details and the context she claimed she didn't know. She was caught. She was caught lying to Parliament to cover up her sickening double standard. She lied to the Justice Committee. She lied to her own oversight body. And Honourable Nqola, he sees the blood in the water. He knows her credibility is shot. He knows she's a wounded animal. He knows she is a person who is not in command of her facts, a person who will say whatever she needs to in the moment to survive. So he decides to see if this is a one-off mistake or a pattern of incompetence. He moves on. He asks about the Political Killings Task Team, the PKTT, and he gives her just enough rope to hang herself again